Welcome back to Gun&ShotTV. I was going to talk a little bit about some 38 long Colt revolvers. So these are what are considered the 1901, and this one's a 1903 Colt Army revolver, Colt New Service, Colt Service revolver, whatever you want to call it. There's a whole bunch of different terms for them. Essentially, in the late 1800s, the military went from the single action army, which was in 45 long Colt, which is this big honker of a round, to 38 long Colt, which is this diminutive black powder 38 round. The idea was that this was a more modern, easier to carry cartridge. It was smaller, you could carry more of them, they were lighter weight, all that stuff. Well, the big problem we ran into was we had the Spanish-American War. So these Colt service revolvers and 38 long Colt were, like the famous revolver that went down with the Maine, and Teddy Roosevelt, recovered the revolver and used it in the Spanish-American War. We had these, and they served okay in the Spanish-American War, but in the Spanish-American War, we were deeded the Philippines in the treaty that ended that war. So when we went to use these guns in the in the Philippines, they didn't prove to be so effective against the Moro tribesmen. I'll get to that in a little bit in a different video and do a full rundown. But essentially what you need to know is these guns are chambered in 38 long Colt, and they use the Colt action with the pullback to release. This one is an original finished Colt. This one has been refinished. As you can see, it looks nicer, but it doesn't have the deep blue that you can kind of see, a deep mirror blue in certain parts on this gun. I mean, this is really worn. You can also see that the screws and some of the pins and such still have that real dark, deep blue looking heat treatment. I think it's called a niter blue that Colt would use. So these were used, like I said, the late 1800s up until we hit the Philippines and tried to put down the Moro tribesmen. Unfortunately, they were not as easy to drop as the Spanish in the Spanish-American War. So the military kind of reevaluated our whole 38 long Colt revolver issue, and they decided that the 38 long Colt was not a good enough round. So we went back to 45 long Colt. A lot of issues with 38 long Colt happened, so the cartridge 38 Special was developed. As you can see, it's a lot bigger of a cartridge, and between the two, which would you rather not get shot with? I would pick the 38 Special. But anyway, so these guns saw limited use. They were pretty much replaced as soon as possible. Once, 1903, this one was still production, but then we went back to the earlier Colt double action Frontier, I believe it was. The single action armies were pulled out if there were any left, and then they switched up to the 1909 double action Colt New Service with 45 long Colt. So these were, like I said, limited production. These are some military surplus examples. This one's had the lanyard pulled out and been reblued, so someone was probably using this, as an actual carry or shooting piece. You'll see it's in the well-fitted holster from someone carrying it for years in that thing. This one is, like I said, more original in that it's got the right grips, a little chip out of them and everything. But these are really long action, heavy double action guns, and single action they're respectable. I don't know that I'd call it a target piece, just because there's nothing really that refined on a gun this old, but they're still decent shooters. They still keep time okay. The big issue is they're probably worth more being not shot. So as you can see, if I short stroke the trigger, it's actually pulling out of time. So that's probably an issue. Probably would want to address that. That seems to keep time now. Maybe I'm just missing how fast it's flipping because of the lighting. So either way, but these are interesting. Like I said, they were kind of a short little gap in the revolvers that we carried, because we went back to long Colt, and then we went to 38 special revolvers that were used all the way through World War II, and then even in 1917 they came out with revolvers in 45 ACP. I've got videos on all those other revolvers if you're interested, all the different types of military service revolvers that the U.S. used. So some more information on those. But like I said, I mainly just wanted to bring these up because I have to. So they're pretty neat. But also they played an important role in the Spanish-American War, and also in the Army's caliber debate to go back to 45 from 38. So they're kind of an interesting stepping stone for that history. And like I said, I'll do a video with all that all put in one big mess so you can kind of run through it. But I figured I'd do a little video on these. They're okay shooters, but nothing compared to a modern revolver. The actions are really long and heavy. So unless you have one that somebody gave you or whatever, I wouldn't seek one out as a shooter. They're more expensive to shoot with the long Colt rounds, and just, not that great of a trigger or anything. So for Gun and Shot TV, this is Chris saying thanks for watching. Have a great day.